Sweet Christmas! It's Mozz, it's Chaz, and we're talking about the sound of one fist punching. And in the kitchen of hell, and all points along the A train, we are about to not get defensive. Welcome to the Don't Get Defensive podcast. I am your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me, one last time for the Defenders, is of course my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey Mozz, so glad you could join us once again. This is the 8th episode of the Defenders. The Defenders. As New York edges closer to the disaster, Elektra sees what's beyond the wall, and the Defenders make a last-ditch effort to save this city. Directed by Farron Blackburn, created by credits for Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez once again, and of course Lauren Schmidt as Lauren Schmidt-Hisrich gets her written by credit. I say she's the hardest working woman in show business right now, and she shares that with Marco Ramirez. Okay. So let's get tonight's episode, Mozz. Now we open up. Now, do we open up inside the wall? Do we see what's inside the wall?
No. We open up in the lobby of Midland Bank with the team arguing about whether or not they should use the C4 to level the whole place.
Yeah.
And Luke is not so about it, but he comes around.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, honestly, I did think this was a good episode while you're watching it, but invariably in these re-watches and some of these productions, you do start to see like the weaknesses and the rushing in these stories.
Right.
One of the biggest problems for me in this episode, and it really is a big problem for me because I am a continuity nerd, and so. And I'm going to jump sort of back and forth on this episode because we do got the whole. And we can talk about the series as a whole because this is the last episode.
Right. Indeed.
They make the point. Okay, so the architect shows exactly where we have to put all the bombs, and then we have to put the bombs there around these support structures, and everything will collapse in on top of it. But we only ever see them put the bombs at one pillar, and we can see at the very end that they have not put any of the other bombs anywhere. So really, they're taking out one of the 4 structural support pillars of this building.
Maybe that's how we get the bonus scene at the end. You know what I mean?
Oh well, see, that's a good argument. See, I was actually going to argue that since they figured they were always going to have to take down this building when they took down the city, that they just used shoddy construction all around it, and they never used the proper gauge of steel in this. They got that cheap steel, that rocket fuel, that jet fuel melts.
Right, exactly. But what it's worth, I thought this was a great episode. Because I think. And I always love talking about how good the fight sequences are and how good the action is. But really what this show got me with was the relationships between all these people. And I think all of those relationships found an interesting end here. And, when the building collapses and everybody's standing there watching their hero maybe dead, I think they handled that moment really, really well. You felt something from the perspective of each of these characters. Not to once again bring up how bad Batman versus Superman was, but when Superman died, you didn't get that same feeling that they were really good at creating here. Like something was given up, something was lost. So I thought they did that really well this episode.
Yeah, and of course, not for nothing, this to contrast it with Batman v Superman, they actually had established a relationship with these guys. They had actually been through something together. Where Batman is trying to kill Clark 5 minutes before he dies.
I meant the collective sense of grief that we should have felt as putting ourselves in the minds of the citizens of Metropolis or the citizens of the world.
Yeah, that
didn't carry for me, but this really did carry.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. And I do feel that we did, and and again, we had a very long time with Daredevil, and. For what it's worth, although you never think they're really going to kill Daredevil, You never know with these shows, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Because,
even on the rewatch, I'm watching it and I know he's okay, but like you can't help but get wrapped up in the emotion that everybody at least thinks he's gone, you know?
yeah, and they certainly don't cheat it at any point up until that moment. I thought that the
Yeah.
bigger cheat is maybe with Gao and, what's his name? Yakuto?
Murakami.
Yakami,
Murakami.
yes. Yakami. I mean, I definitely think Gao got out.
Oh, absolutely. She
You
created a
know,
force field around herself and Murakami.
yes,
And
exactly. Yeah.
was it just me? Like she slinked away during the battle at the end. So I'm assuming all that bone fragments that they were collecting or fossil fragments they were collecting, she got away with.
Oh yeah.
So if she put like a protective barrier around herself and Murakami, and she has those bone fragments, they have the substance, so they'll be okay, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And if nothing else, we still have that question of who got Daredevil out.
Mm, mm.
And so like to me, I think that I'm more Gal getting out with the bone. I think that's what is the most likely outcome. Like I think if you're gonna say who absolutely got out, it's Gal and she's got all the bones. I think
Right,
Elektra has a shot for getting out.
right.
And for what it's worth, it's important to remember that one thing we learned from Iron Fist is that you don't just die just
Right,
because you die in this. You have to have your
right,
head removed. That
right.
basically once Gao gets Murakami off that pike he was on, he's fine
Mm,
because that's not a headshot.
right, right,
Likewise, if Elektra avoided a headshot, she's golden.
right.
You can dig yourself out like Luke Cage dug himself out when he got buried under the rubble in the other one.
So are you proposing that maybe Matt did die and he was brought back using the substance, the bone substance?
Oh no, I don't think that. I think that I think someone drug his body out of there.
Oh, that would be cool though.
Yeah, yeah, well, that would be interesting. And if nothing else, what would be really interesting about that, if that is what happened, and that is possible that maybe Elektra brought Matt back.
Right, that was her
They,
whole plan. They could finally be together as part of some unifying thing.
yes, but so they are doing this whole idea that what we're seeing in this next that final scene is Born Again. But they actually
Mm.
did another story with Daredevil more recently, where he was the head of the Hand. He took over the Hand.
Oh, he became like a hero, a bad guy?
Sort of. It was kind of this interesting thing where basically the Hand put him in charge, and then he's
Ah.
like, "Well, I can use the power of the Hand for good."
Oh, that's cool.
But then he gets corrupted by some demon and yada yada yada. Phil would know more because he actually reads all the Daredevil. But I just I only get him in the crossovers. So but that was a whole plotline, and it would be interesting if in the next season of Daredevil
Mm.
that's the starting point, not this Born Again story that everyone's expecting, but
Huh.
the idea of Elektra, Engao, and Murakami saying the Hand needs more than two fingers or more than three fingers.
Right.
We need a
Oh,
thumb in
how
here,
interesting.
and we want you, and you have proven yourself. And Gal, she's always willing to make peace.
Right, right.
She's always willing to make peace because peace is cheaper than war. You know,
Yeah.
and she's gonna say, well, who knows what they're going to say? And of course, Murakami, of course, doesn't want any of the business. He just wants to hunt bears. So he's like, cool. And Gal
Right,
has
right.
her own bag of hammers. And Bakuto is dead now, so we lost Bakuto, which thank goodness.
Which is so great. Yes, exactly. What a
Basically, when you talk about like the least interesting members of the Hand, I would say Bakuto and Alexandra are on that list. Actually,
right.
Alexandra was pretty good in this.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt that she's no Gao, which is what I think
Right.
we felt about her the minute we see Gao not being in charge of the Hand, and it's like,
Right.
really,
Yeah. Alexandra never seemed too powerful. She just seemed like she was barely keeping everything together, but she never seemed like She demanded loyalty or a following or respect. Everybody was just going. She was like the unlikely person that got hired for a job, and she's just barely doing it.
Yeah, well, because I think what it was she was the person who was really good at the job.
Uh,
Basically she was a middle management person who
right,
rose to the top,
right,
which isn't necessarily ever a bad thing, but it makes a problem when you are that middle management person who's risen to the top, and now you find your power structure breaking apart.
right.
And I think that's where we see Alexandra in this, is that she um,
You think it's possible Gal could have saved Matt and Elektra?
could Gao save Matt and Electra? Yeah, absolutely. Um, here's what I think that she's sitting there with I keep on forgetting his name. Murakami. He's sitting there with
Yeah.
Murakami. Had to scroll down to see his name. And you know, so she's sitting there with him, and there's the other two over there who are just fighting and fighting and fighting until the end.
Right.
And you know, uh, it is going to be, what it is going to be here. She has to make her decisions about how she's going to get herself out, what's going to be
Right.
her power base when she gets out, and what her options are as the, de facto leader of the hand.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and for what it's worth, she's always seemed like the most powerful member.
Exactly. And the one who should be leading, because she really was the smart one, I think. She's the survivor.
Well, yeah, because she is the survivor. Because unlike the other members of the hand, she was the purest in a
Mm.
sense. They formed the hand because they wanted to live forever,
Right.
and everyone else is still clinging to the mortal things that people cling to when they want to live forever. Oh, let's build a company, let's build an
Right.
army, let's build these
Right.
things.
Right.
Gal is running her army, her empire, but all she wants to do is survive.
Right.
She just wants to get to the next moment in her story. And I think that is a very telling quality to Gao.
Right.
You know,
And in contrast, like, not a pivot, but Bakudo was such a one-note, boring character. And
yes.
his infatuation with Colleen sort of teetered on whether or not he was actually infatuated. Was there some sort of like a spiritual thing or a destiny kind of a thing that he believed in? He never sort of picked a side. He always sort of skirted with, is it this, is it that? I wish he would have picked a side and played that angle up. I just thought it was a boring character.
Well, what I feel about Bakudo basically is that and again, this is this idea, and this I think it comes to Alexandra as well, where it is being bound to the things that mortals are bound to. That even though they are claiming to serve immortality, they still serve their mortal agendas. And so for Alexandra, it's about having that daughter, having her black sky, and having that be who carries on her legacy, even though theoretically she doesn't need to carry on a legacy. For Bakudo, it is, who will be my mate, who will carry with me throughout eternity. For Gao, she has no time for such things. And again, like we say, Gao is the only one we really see utilizing real heavy chi. With her chi punch. She's the only one we see really in that way as a spiritual master. And we saw Bakudo do it a little bit in Iron Fist, but nothing offensive and nothing on par with what Iron Fist has. And that's, I think, is the thing, is that really Gao is as close to Iron Fist as the hand had.
Right, right. She would have become an Iron Fist, I imagine, if she hadn't have fled,
Yeah, entirely possible. Or maybe, it's entirely possible the monks of Kunlun are quite sexist. So there could be a whole other backstory on that, that, yes, she should have been the Iron Fist, but the monks would never let a woman be the Iron Fist. These
That's
are,
interesting.
yeah, well, they're monks, they're human, and they're bound to those human frailties and foolishnesses. So
Right.
that would be my take on that. Boy, man, I hope they explore that now. If we get Gao, I would really love to see more Gao backstory in why she left, because she clearly and I think she's actually from Kunlun. I think she's the actual person who was a resident of Kunlun, and then when all of these foreigners came to Kunlun,
Right.
and decided to run, she chose to throw in with them for whatever reason. Maybe she and Alexandra fell in love. Maybe she and one of the other guys fell in love. But the other guys were
Hmm.
all from someplace else. I think Gao may be the only one that's actually from Kunlun. And
I think so.
so, yeah, I think that's the interesting story.
So what did you think was your favorite pairing in
Oh,
the series?
in the series, well, I gotta say, I loved it. I mean, here's what I'll say: for all the flaws of Iron Fist, I love Luke Cage and Iron Fist. I love anytime those two
Yeah,
are working together, because I do think they are a regular Hope and Crosby road trip team.
I
you
think
know?
I think they have potential, but they got to work on how they their chemistry together.
Mhm.
I'm just not feeling it yet. But I was happy that this series sort of vindicated Danny to a certain level, where by the episode where they're having the first get together at the Chinese restaurant,
Mhm.
that is when his character started to shine. He shines in an ensemble where
Yeah.
he gets to sort of play his little part, and I thought that was really fun. But yeah, my favorite pairing by far was um, Matt and Jess.
Oh yeah, Matt and
I
Jessica really is fantastic.
Yeah, I want to see murder mysteries with the two of them.
Yeah, the problem with Matt and Jessica, and honestly, this is actually probably a place where maybe Netflix can really make their own brand, is that Matt and Jessica are not appearing in the comics. There's no history of Matt
Ah,
and Jessica. Matt has a lot
uh,
of history with a lot of people, but not with Jessica Jones. And it might be interesting for Netflix to stake out their own place and say, no, we're going to start telling the Matt and Jessica story,
I think
because
that'd be
we
really fun.
we think
And I don't,
as
and I
heroes they
don't.
really work well together.
Yeah, and I don't see like a romantic angle between them, which would make it sort of interesting.
Well, exactly, and I just hope that the writers could actually.
Stay away from
Exactly.
that.
You see, that's the only problem with something like that, is that you put them together and someone in the production office says, "Wait, we need to get a shot of someone's butt in this scene,
Mm,
in a sexually compromising way. Who do we have available in our story so far?" They said, "Well,
yeah.
we can do Foggy and Karen, or we can do
Which, yeah, that was the other one that had
oh,
always had great chemistry, and maybe they can explore that. But I don't know. It would kind of be like making Pretty in Pink 2, and she changes her mind and goes with Ducky. It just wouldn't make sense. You know what I
well,
mean?
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think the problem with Foggy is he is such, and this is true to the comic books. I think he is such a guy who is just so desperate. A guy who doesn't really need to be desperate, he is
But
so desperate. And there's this, when you're the guy who is willing to marry the first person who touches your schmeckle, that is not a good. First off, you're going to have a very hard time finding someone who wants to touch your schmeckle, and it's going to be hard to go build that life afterwards. And for a girl like Karen, or a woman like Karen, I think she would totally be down with Foggy if Foggy wasn't so flop sweaty.
right,
I think
and
which
and,
is,
and I, go
go ahead.
ahead, sir.
I was going to say, which is why you always see the best chemistry between Foggy and Karen when Foggy isn't pursuing Karen. When Foggy
Right,
isn't either being the nice guy with Karen or
Right.
trying to pursue her. But when he's like, oh no, I'm actually going to do this case now. I'm actually going to do my job. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And Karen's like, dang, you can lawyer. And it's like,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
problem with Foggy is he doesn't get that that's what a woman wants, a guy who's actually capable on his own without needing to be with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that's Foggy's cross to bear, and that's why he's with
Right, but
the
he's still learning his lessons. You know what I mean?
yeah.
He's not complete yet. That's the way I look at it.
I know, but the fact that he's with his ex at the new law firm,
You know what? I don't mind that at all. I think she's good for him.
you know
Regardless
what?
of all the other stuff, it makes him feel really good about himself, and I love that.
Yeah, but I gotta feel that I don't know. I guess maybe they're both broken in just the right ways to fix
Right.
each other. I guess maybe that's the
Exactly.
argument. See,
I
I
think
guess
she's good for him right now.
yes, and well, what I'll say is that if it's possible that she's broken in the opposite way that he is, so that their pieces now fit together,
Mm.
it works out great. But
Yeah.
I kind of worry that she is gonna just trample all over poor old Foggy's heart, and he's just gonna be
Yeah.
back to not knowing where he is or where he's gonna be,
No,
and
I think that will inform the future Foggy. You know what I mean? It will build the future Foggy. It'll be good for him.
let's hope so. um, yeah, but no, I did
One
think that
one
now.
pairing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, one pairing that I thought was really forced and really annoying was Claire and Colleen. They try to throw those two together, and I didn't think any scenes with them worked. And them constantly complimenting each other in like this really insecure way was really, really annoying.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. And again, this is one of these things where, see, this is why they might not want to do Daredevil and Jessica, because
Mm,
Claire and Colleen are not buddies in the books.
mm,
Colleen and Misty are buddies in the book,
mm.
but I think they
Yeah, I can
couldn't
see
figure out.
that.
I think they couldn't figure out how to get Colleen and Misty together without it being forced,
Right, right, right.
which is it is what it is. I mean, was Misty in Iron Fist at all?
Yeah,
She,
and Iron Fist, no, she wasn't.
yeah. See,
It's
see,
just in Luke
they
Cage.
should have established Misty in Iron Fist because
Ah,
Misty was already on like high crimes and she was already doing special cases and stuff like that. So you could have worked her into Iron Fist and then you could have built up that rapport. But I think that they were
yeah,
trying to build Claire up more, and it makes
yeah,
some sense because Claire is like a unique Netflix character.
mm, yeah.
Because there's like 16 different night nurses throughout the history of the night nurse. There's like a bunch
Uh-uh.
of people who have been the night nurse, which is this thing where these people are like running these superhuman clinics because they have to be these underground clinics because it's kind of, even if it's not illegal to be a superhuman, it's difficult to be a superhuman. Um, and So I think they wanted to build out who the night nurse was, and that worked out great for Marvel. So Marvel does a lot with the Claire Temple night nurse character now.
Yeah. I just looked it up, and they're saying that Misty is confirmed for season 2 of Iron Fist, so they will be adding her.
Well, good. So that's good
Yeah.
because she's going to be getting her new Rand Industries arm.
Right. Oh,
And
when she loses that arm, I was like, yes, Charlie's gonna love this scene.
you know what? Here's what I'll say. I'm glad she lost the arm. I'm not happy with the way she lost the arm.
I was just gonna say, did that seem a little too accidental?
It seemed to. First off, I'm not sure. I don't care what your freaking sword is made out of. I think
Yeah.
cutting through that's not the femur. I forget what it is. That's the humerus. Cutting through the humor. I love you too, buddy. Cutting through the humerus, the muscle, and everything else in one clean swoop.
Uh-huh.
It's not even like it's on a joint. Like when you cut off someone's head like that, you
Yeah.
can make the argument that they're going through the cartilage and the spine, not the cartilage and the spine, not the actual vertebra.
Bone.
Yeah,
Huh.
exactly. When you're just cutting bone like that with a quick swoop, that's just, it's like, I
You don't
took
think
basic
that's
anatomy.
possible?
No, no, it's not possible. It is not. Do you know how strong bones are?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back if I've ever seen because you see these videos on the internet with these, these dudes with their
Hmm.
knives and swords, and they have like these pig carcasses hanging, and they're like showing how sharp their knife is, and it cuts through a lot of stuff. But I can't
Yeah,
recall if I've ever seen it cut through an actual bone.
yeah. Well,
So,
yeah, because like I said, if you're using it and you're cutting meat, it's a little easier. I'm not sure you
mm,
can cut through that much, but when you're cutting like okay, let me put it this way: my dad's a butcher. I
mm,
grew up around meat.
uh-huh,
I knew there's a lot of effort that goes into cutting a bone. Basically, you don't cut a bone
right,
with a knife.
right,
You don't even cut a bone with a cleaver. You cut a
right,
bone with a saw because that's what it takes to cut a bone. Because it's a rock inside your body. You know.
yeah, yeah,
So yes, it's a giant rock. So cutting off her arm below the shoulder in that way
mm.
is honestly you would have done better had you cut it at the elbow.
Right. That would okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
The elbow is totally believable because again, if you hit it just right, you're just cutting cartilage and tendon and meat,
yeah,
But trying
yeah.
to cut through the bone, that's just, especially when you think about. And here's the thing to think about with it: the her arm isn't static,
Mm,
so when you hit it with a knife, she's gonna move that arm.
right.
So you coming at her arm, she's going to lift her arm. If nothing else, when your knife hits the bone, it's going to lift the arm up.
Mm.
So you wind up basically just taking out the entire tricep. You know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna cut a bone with a sword like that. That's the thing.
There's gotta be a MythBusters on this or something.
Uh, they've done a lot with samurai swords and ninja swords, so it's entirely possible there's something somewhere. Um, but I've never actually seen it. What I
Hmm.
will say, and this is what I'll say, is that they had such a great thing for it when, because here's the thing, it's not even that her arm gets chopped off, and
Huh.
here's the thing, it's that her arm gets so badly damaged in whatever they're doing that she loses the arm. Because
Ah, I
in the
see. I
original
see.
comic book, it's like she's defusing a bomb, she doesn't defuse it in time, the bomb goes off, it basically, it shreds her arm, and you know, she goes to the hospital and she comes out and but just that clean cut, it's just too easy,
Hmm.
And after we had the whole thing, because like in Luke Cage, you had the whole thing with Claire putting the tourniquet on it and saying, if I tie it too tight, you're going to lose the arm. Wink to
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
nerds at home, you know. And we have her tying it here, but there's no worries there. And honestly, granted, I get there could have, like I said, I think it was just too rushed. Like I always say, ever since they added the Punisher, I think that I think they rushed to try to get too much into these stories to trying to get to the next spot. I think that is the
Yeah.
biggest problem with Netflix, and I think part of it is that fact that Netflix realizes that they're trying to build out their universe because they own these Netflix characters. Because there was a recent article where it was saying Disney might not be able to move the Netflix characters uh,
Really?
over to Disney streaming. Yes, because Netflix negotiated the streaming rights to these characters. So
Wow.
basically, when Netflix
That's
got the rights, yeah, they basically bought the rights to these things, and because I think Disney was always planning on just buying Netflix. And then Netflix
right.
decided it didn't want to be bought, and that left Disney kind of, well, now what do we do? you know, how do we move
Yeah.
beyond this if they don't want to be bought because we've already signed this deal to give them these rights to hold on to it. So,
Hmm.
um,
That's encouraging.
yeah, well, it is encouraging, at least in the sense that you know um, these characters will continue on. But I think that part of that is that Netflix, like in their rush to have a Punisher show, which I still haven't watched. I do need to watch it because that's our next podcast we got to do. Mine's you and me. We're doing Punisher. We were saying we were excited about it way back when. But,
no, I totally am, and I'm going to watch it one at a time just so we can sort of like talk about theories and whatnot as we go. Maybe.
And that is cool. I will only be able to watch it one at a time, but we will certainly start recording those soon, and
nice.
And that'll be great. But
I just looked online for. I just searched, can a samurai sword cut through bone? And I saw a video of a dude with a sword that cut through a metal pipe. So maybe it's possible. I'm just saying.
What kind of metal pipe, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what you call a magician's trick.
Fair enough. Oh no, they said it was an iron pipe.
Iron pipe. Okay. Well, I mean, it's possible. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. I'm gonna say, let me put it this way: it's not even so much as is it possible, so much as is it believable.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So when I see it,
Yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say: there's gonna be part of the audience is gonna say, "Oh yeah, man, samurai swords they'll cut through anything," and they're just totally down with it. There's another part that's gonna be like, I don't know. Well, what did Mythbusters say on this? And then there's a guy like me who says, nope, not even possible.
Well, truth be told, the video I saw, the pipe was laying flat on a platform, and the guy cut through it. It sort of bounced off. So I mean, like the percussion of it might have had something to do with it too. I don't know, but her arm would have moved, like you said.
Exactly. If it's held still, that's a very different thing. Yeah, because I mean, really, in that situation, a guy probably ruined his dang sword doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Then again, it might have been a cheap sword too, because it doesn't need to be. If he's only using it for this one demonstration, he just needs a sword with a tensile strength harder than the pipe.
Yeah,
and if it's a really cheap iron pipe, then man, who still uses iron pipes? PVC is the way you go now. Or copper, I'm just saying. Yeah, but that's the thing. And so so that is what it could be. I mean, there's a lot of options for it as to what it could be. I just felt it seemed a little patent rushed, and I guess on some level we don't really get the sense of her loss of the arm because it does happen so fast.
Right.
I mean, when you think about this in the books, the whole loss of the arm is all told in backstory. So when we first see her, she's got her bionic arm, although it doesn't look bionic because this was back in the Bionic Man days, so she's got the whole new skin covering it. And it's only later that you realize that, that's a bionic arm. And then
and the only person who came to visit her was Colleen, it seemed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, which... I guess. Maybe not the only person who came to visit her was Colleen.
Well,
it's just that's what we saw.
That's
true.
True.
Danny stopped by and visited, and
Although she says, Danny says he knows that if he would have been there, he would have said that himself. But he sent a message through Colleen, so there is something.
Yeah. He's very busy because he's trying to do this. Now, what's interesting is in the books again, Danny and Misty are a couple.
What?
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, well, because not for nothing, Luke is in the books. Luke pairs off with Jessica, but actually, Danny and Misty were together long before that. Danny and Misty were, and they recently broke them up so that she could start making time with Falcon in the Captain America book. Yeah, or Captain America when he was Captain America.
Right.
Of course, then again, maybe her and Danny have kind of an open thing, man. He's very, very hippy dippy. So, you never know. I never said we weren't together. I just said that it wasn't a problem for me and you to be together too.
Yeah.
It's the aughts. It's the teens, man. It's almost the Roaring 20s. You got to get ready for this new bourgeois bohemianism. It's coming. Okay.
And then, of course, we have Matt and Elektra. And how their ending played out. What did you think of their story?
I really loved Elektra in this series.
Yeah.
I think this was really a great Elektra series.
Yeah.
because I think this was really defining of who Elektra was, which
And
is
who
the
she
person.
always wanted to be.
Yeah, well, because what I think it is, and here's the thing I'm going to say about Elektra, is that what she wants is to not be controlled.
I think it's more than that. She revels in the chaos and the making of the chaos, and admiring her own artistry when
Mm-hmm.
she creates chaos. She really digs on that. And for her to get a chance to fully form that character, kill Alexandra, take control, or start like, yes, I am the badass and I am in charge now, was really, really fun.
Yeah. And you know what I'll say is for whatever it's worth, you know that is an advantage for Gal because Gal knows, like Murakami, Elektra doesn't want to run a global enterprise.
Right.
It's like she doesn't want to do all this stuff. Gal will be more than happy to run everything. Well, she goes off doing penny ante assassin gigs, and Murakami goes and eats some bears.
Right.
And Daredevil can go Daredevil up some Hell's Kitchen, and Gal can say, "Okay, now I'm back to what I'm doing."
Right. And I think she's also the kind that's smart enough to know that being the leader comes with a lot of hindrances. You can't really get stuff done once you're the appointed leader. But
Yeah.
if you're in the ear of the appointed leader, you can have all the freedom to get things done however you want and none of the responsibility that comes with the office.
Yes. I think we can both agree that basically we want more Gal in future Netflix
Yes.
series.
Yes,
That
indeed.
Gal is what makes these things. I won't say Gal is what makes these things good, but Gal is just an awesome villain.
Right.
I would say Gal is as great a villain in this as D'Onofrio's Kingpin.
Mm.
And what I'll say is I think we've gotten much more of Gal than we've gotten of Kingpin. So I actually really think that the Gal we see now after Defenders, I mean, I want
Mm.
her maybe even more than D'Onofrio. You know?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know
Yeah, no,
about that.
D'Onofrio's really great. I don't want to take away from
Yeah.
D'Onofrio, but I'm gonna say if someone says and the main villain of Daredevil will be Gal, I'm not gonna cry. You know?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I don't know. I still want to see Kingpin break out of jail, and again, him too be a fully formed version of what he was meant to be.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, what I want D'Onofrio to be the main villain in the next Spider-Man film. Because
Ooh,
people forget Kingpin started out as a Spider-Man
a
villain.
Spider-Man villain, right?
Yes, and so I would love to see D'Onofrio. Because I've always said this that the way you really make a good Spider-Man film is you put in the Kingpin and the Enforcers, who were this group of weird little like one guy he's got it's a guy with a lasso, a guy who's really good at martial arts, and just a big dumb strong guy.
Mm,
And basically, when Spider-Man first fights them, they clean his clock because they're professional criminals and enforcers, and
right.
he's a little punk kid, and so his spider sense doesn't know to be worried about a lasso coming for him. But then it's around his neck, and then all of a sudden Ox is beating the heck out of him, and then Fancy Dan comes in with a big old roundhouse, and it's not what he was expecting because he is expecting to come in as the superhero, and I always thought that's great. That idea of those
Mm,
human level characters who, given the right set of situations, can totally throw down with the parademons, to go that Justice League route.
right.
And so I would love to see in the next Spider-Man film D'Onofrio and the Enforcers coming up, and yeah, that would be
S-
pretty awesome. I think.
Speaking of which, have you seen Justice League yet?
No, I have not. I actually have no
Mm,
money for movies right now. I don't even have
mm.
that $10 a month that you keep on pushing me on. It's like, yeah, that'd be great, man. But I'm already spending $11 a month on Netflix, and
I gotcha.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's really good. I mean, I hated Batman vs Superman, but I love Justice League. Just throwing it
well,
out there.
I actually think I'm gonna love it. I
Yeah.
actually think I'm gonna come back when I actually see it. I think I'm actually gonna come. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you just like everything that's bad." I was like, "No, I thought it was really good." I see nothing in it that's going to make me think it's going to be bad. I mean, it
Right.
may not be as good as Ragnarok, but
No.
yeah,
But it's good. It
yeah.
was
Well,
good. I was satisfied by the end of it. And again, what carried that movie was the relationships and how they built those. All the extra stuff outside is stuff you're supposed to sort of wash over anyways. The real meat of it is the relationship of these characters coming together and getting to like each other and getting to find the same purpose within each one of them mirrored in each other. And that I think they did really well.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Justice League, and this is the thing that like everyone, oh Justice League, because everyone says oh Justice, because there's these two counter narratives. One is Justice League is underperforming. The other is Justice League is actually doing pretty good. And
Right.
basically, you're both right. It's doing pretty good, but it's
Right.
underperforming. Because I was seeing these things where people saying, "Oh, Ragnarok is this huge hit because it did this much." Justice League is doing the same thing. But of course, what
Right.
people are missing in that is that yeah, the third Thor film is doing as well as the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman film.
Right.
That
Right.
basically Batman. You have a film that just says it could have just been Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman drinking tea like so much Kermit the Frog, and
Right.
saying that's not my business, and it would still make as much as Thor Ragnarok. That's like their base, is what I'm trying to
Right.
say in that. Because it's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the three most iconic characters in the world.
Right.
In the world where, places where they have not even heard of comic books, you can
Mm.
say, oh, Superman, yes, I know who that is,
Yeah.
and, so these things have this base audience that is always going to be there, and then to not do better than the Avengers right away is problematic. You know,
Yeah. I
and
mean, I
that's why
think
it's
you could.
problematic. It's not because it's not a good film. It's not because it's not doing okay. It's that it should be doing so much more.
Right. No, and that sentiment, I think, deserves to be tempered a little bit by reflecting on how poorly they did with Batman versus Superman and
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, and how poorly those attempts went. And now they do something with a semblance of a clear narrative, a clear ending, and everything that sort of relatively made sense. And the characters were lively and interesting, and pulled you in, and you cared about the things that were happening. I think they should be commended for that, and they can only grow from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I certainly commend them for that. And I certainly think that it will get better, and I think that it's going to be better. I actually, my biggest complaint with DC isn't their movies, it's their management's
Mm.
inability. Because, the problem is that when Marvel stumbled early on with their Hulk movies,
Mm.
superhero movies were still ghettoized. No one talked about, Winter. No one talked about Winter. Well, Winter Soldier. Some people talked about that, but
Yeah.
no one talked about any of the Iron Men getting Oscars.
Right.
No one. But now Patty Jenkins, whether or not she should get an Oscar, is a
Mm.
really solid question and debate people are having right now.
Right.
And this idea that when Marvel was doing it, it was they had enough cover that it were just silly superhero films that they didn't they could deal with the they could deal with their failures.
Right.
DC, because they're coming up so much chasing Marvel
Right.
that they are finding
They don't have
themselves
room to experiment or fail.
exactly, and that's and you know what it is, and that's their problem. They do need to be able to experiment in the way that Netflix is experimenting, and that's for what it's worth. That's why you see everyone says, "Oh, the CW verse, the
Mm.
Arrowverse, and all those things are so much better stories than what we're seeing in Justice League and whatnot." I don't know if that's necessarily true, but people are saying that. But it's because they have the freedom to fail.
And the DC animated universe produces some amazing movies.
Mm-hmm. And again, because they have the freedom to fail. Because if
Right.
you do a bad cartoon that was never expected to make $100 billion at the box
Right.
office.
Right.
And that's the thing. And you know, I don't know how to solve DC's problems, but I'm sure they all see what their problems are. But I think that the
Yeah.
way you solve, my feeling is the way you solve it is that you don't worry about your failures. You keep on pressing on.
Right. I feel like it's just a gauntlet that they have to run through. That's the undertaking itself.
Exactly. They have to get through it, and they have to find their footing, and they have to find where they're going to be. I thought there has been a hint that they had this really great idea of actually starting that their films will not be about the heroes but about the villains, and that what they're actually building towards is the Legion of Doom film.
Oh, that would be a sneaky, underhanded idea.
I know, but it would be brilliant and would be amazing.
Yeah.
And what it comes down to is, do we get a great Black Manta in the Aquaman film? Is Black Manta a character we want to see what happens next to? And whoever the villain will be in the next Wonder Woman film, and whoever we get there. And there's thought right now that Batman's going to be like their Black Widow, where there's not going to be a Batman film. Batman's just going to be in everybody else's film.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, it might not. I think it actually could work for it. I think you get much more Batman that way, and you get him much more as the glue of everyone else's story. Which I think justifies the Justice League as an existing thing. Because, the idea that, all these superpowered characters don't need a Justice League. But Batman needs a Justice League. That for as much as everyone thinks Batman is the loner, I think that he needs a Justice League more than anyone else. Just my take. Maybe not what everyone thinks, but that's my take. Yeah. Okay, any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
No, I really, really loved everything about it, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the ending. And if you could give us a little insight into what's happening there, where is he? Who's Maggie?
Actually, what I'll tell you is I have no idea because I never read Born Again. What you're seeing here, when Daredevil, for those who don't know, Daredevil wakes up in a convent or possibly a hospital, seemingly somewhere in either the southwest of the United States or possibly south of the border in Mexico.
Right.
In the book, it's actually in Mexico. He wakes up and he's in this convent, and they're caring for him and nursing him back to health after some great battle. And then in the books, what happens is he winds up finding Karen Page, who has kind of fallen on hard times because she in the book she leaves to be an actress, and then in this they basically have her doing porn for heroin because this was a '90s book and it was dark.
Yeah. Didn't you say a while ago that Maggie was Matt's mom?
Well, that wasn't me, but it's entirely possible.
Huh. I thought I remember seeing that. Maybe I read it.
Yeah, you probably read it. And in that case, I will take its word for it. I don't even remember Maggie in it. What was Maggie?
Well, the nurse, the nun is sitting at Matt's bedside, and he stirs. Maybe I didn't notice, but then she goes to the other nurse, "Go get Maggie. He's awake."
Ah, see, I completely missed that.
So I just looked it up, and
yeah,
they're saying Sister Maggie is the mother of Matthew Murdoch. She left her child and husband Jack Murdoch when Matt was still a baby to take the vows and join the Catholic sisterhood.
Oh, okay, yes, I think I remember something about that at some point. Yeah. Catholicism. It's crazy. Okay, so maybe that's who it is. So maybe that's his mom. But we'll have to see what they do. Like I said, I would be much more interested if they play against expectations and do a completely different story than Born Again. Just because I think that is when Marvel does its best work, is when you think you're getting something, and then all of a sudden they do something completely different, and you go, "Oh, but that's still good, and it's maybe even something even better than I would have thought."
Right.
Because, like I always said about the Hulk, We used to watch the old Hulk shows together.
It
It wasn't Marvel, but it was still good.
Right.
And what made it good was that they could take what the idea was in Marvel and take it further beyond.
Yeah, I think that's what they did with Gotham. They just used that world as a vehicle to tell cool, interesting, weird, freaky stories, you know?
Yes, and Gotham is certainly hitting its stride this year.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about it.
Yes, I really love it. Can't wait to see Joker in the spring.
Right, right.
Okay, Mozz. So, if anyone would like to talk to you about anything, Netflix, about Marvel, about Gotham, about anything that you find interesting or they find interesting, how can they find you?
They can reach me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor or email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way our Mozz and Poz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on Twitter. It says I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on NBC, or ABC. ABC it is, sorry. As well as several other shows when I feel like it, including occasionally Gotham and always The Orville. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEesser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for wallet. Oh. All right, Jive Turkeys. That's the end. We have walked down this path to the end of the A-Train's line up here in Harlem. And we are calling it a night. We've learned the sound of one fist defending. We've been through the kitchen of hell. And we know that we all just really want to be your friend. Thanks for not getting defensive with us. Join us soon as we get punished. We're going to think of a name for that soon. Good night, everybody.
Oh, that sounds naughty.